Welcome to a short preview of this Screencasts Online video tutorial. This week it's the turn of the Finder and just doing some basic customization that will make your life a lot easier, especially if you use certain files or folders or folder locations time and time again. You can configure the Finder toolbar to accommodate these locations. But let me show you the basics first. If I go up to the toolbar, you'll see we have some standard icons here. Now I've got these configured as just icon only because I recognize most of the icons. If you don't recognize them, you can just hover over an icon and it will tell you what it does. If you want to have a textual label for each one, you can actually say icon and text, although that does start to get a bit cramped when you get to smaller sizes. That's just a quick preview of one of this week's Apple-related tutorials from Screencasts Online. Screencasts Online is your premium source of Apple-related video tutorials. All of our members get access to brand new, up-to-date tutorials each week, as well as unlimited access to our entire video archive full of Mac and iOS-related tutorials. You can stream and download all of our videos on your Mac, iPad and iPhone, and even your Apple TV using the members-only Screencasts Online Apple TV app. Membership also includes a complimentary subscription to the digital Screencasts Online monthly magazine, published each month and packed with videos, articles, reviews, as well as hints and tips covering all aspects of the Mac, iPad, iPhone, and all of the other fantastic Apple products. So, if you're ready to start getting the most out of your Apple devices, visit ScreenCastsOnline.com today and become a Screencasts Online member.